Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today's episode, I'm doing some upgrades to my 08X scooter. Before we get started, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, I just wanted to take this moment to ask you to go ahead and do that. So click that button, and let's get started. The first thing I'm going to install is the flashers for the side of the scooter. I found that when I took off the headlight and the brake light, there actually was an empty space where I could run the wires. The entire deck was about 15 inches long, so the midpoint is 7.5 inches or 191 millimeters. And then what I did was just got my drill and drilled out a hole slightly bigger than the cable for the lights. After I run the cables through here, what I did was took just a slightly smaller drill bit and kind of just got a tap going, and then used some self-tapping screws to secure the light down. Now all I had to do was just put back the headlight and the brake light, and then do the same for the other side. So that's the finished product. I think it turned out really cool. They stick out a little bit farther than I thought they would, but I'm not too worried about it. The next step in the process is to make sure that the flash pattern is the same for both of these. Since I have one on each side, and I can alternate the flash pattern, I have to make sure that they're starting with the same flash pattern so that when I switch them, they don't go on different ones on each of them. Before I could really install anything here, I had to kind of undo what I had previously did. The light I was using, it was up a little bit high, and I could tell that when I'd pass people on the trail that it was definitely in their eyes, so I did drop it down just about 10 inches, and then I'm going to make sure that I angled the new headlight down just a little bit further to make sure I prevent blinding people as much as I can. The reason I wanted to upgrade the headlight on the scooter, not that it wasn't bright, it just wasn't as bright as I wanted it to be. And so even though this video doesn't do it justice, the camera just didn't have enough available light to show the surroundings. And so I really did want to get a lot more light when I was out there, especially as fast as the scooter can go. The new light I'm putting on is just double the current one that I had. It looks like in this video that there's more LEDs, but I think it's just a reflection from how I was holding the camera. The next portion here, I'm just making some room for the new switches, and so I had to rearrange a little bit of how everything currently was on the handlebars. I'm putting the ignition with the voltmeter onto the right side where the accelerator and speedometer is. I think it makes a little bit more sense anyways. Typically when you have a key in the car, you usually put it in with the right side, so kind of keep all that together. But then also I just really wanted the light switches on the left side there. So now what I'm doing is just kind of cleaning everything up after I rearranged everything and put it all back together, and just making sure it looks nice and clean. So I've got the horn wired up on the right side. Now on the left side, I have three different functions here. I have the headlights, the flashers, and then how to change the flash pattern. Now the next bit, I'm just putting the horn on the bottom side using the screw that's there to hold the clamp on for the headlight. Kind of getting a twofer out of that one, and then I'm just putting the new headlight on. Now I have to run the wires up from the bottom of the scooter for the flashers, and I found if I turned the wheel, there actually was a kind of a wire harness that I just had two little screws to remove, and then I could just tie everything into that and run it up the neck. So I just popped it out the bottom there, and then I'm just going to zip tie it up that current cable, and then run everything up that main stem. So this is the part, if you guys wanted to see how I wired everything, just pause it here and you can look at the diagram. Switches, they can be intimidating at first, but it really is just basically interrupting the positive wire. So all you're doing is just putting something in between the positive to what you're actually trying to power. Now next with the soldering, I'm not an electrician, so anybody watching this who is a professional or has any higher skill than I do, please don't judge these giant globs of solder that I'm putting on here. I am going to clean everything up afterwards so everything will look real nice. Something I found super helpful was, I think they call it a helping hand. It has kind of a magnifying glass, but more importantly for me, it had some little alligator clips that kind of held these connections together so I can make sure that I could get everything soldered up right. This pouch here holds the 12 volt 8.3 amp hour battery that I use to power this. To my calculations, pulling about 11 amps, that gives me just about 43 minutes of usage. I chose to put the horn on here because for how fast the scooter goes, and if I'm ever riding on the street, I think it's really important that I'm able to let people know that I'm there. So here's a look at it with everything completed. I think it turned out really cool. The flashers on the side are maybe a little bit extra. I definitely didn't want to look like the scooter police when I was driving down the trail, but I also wanted to kind of scare off any animals or anything like that that I have encountered on the trail when riding it late at night. And so I just wanted to kind of be as visible as possible. So the new headlight, the flashers on the side, I think that really helps with what I was trying to do. So having a look at this compared to the previous video, it is extra bright. You can see a lot from side to side and definitely in front of me. I hope it's not going to be too blinding to everybody because this is definitely a lot brighter than the other light, but it's going to be safe, that's for sure. So even a look at the aerial view here, you can see behind me is completely pitch black, and then there's a humongous area of light that you can see, and definitely probably even farther than the camera actually shows on this one too. So I had a lot of fun making this video. It was kind of a big project to take on all these things at once, but I'm really glad that I did it because the end result turned out perfect. So I'll make sure that I link all the products that I used in this build for you guys in the description. If you guys did enjoy this, please click that like button. If you have any questions, make sure you leave them in the comments. And as always, I'll see you guys next time.